Hey, everybody. So I hope everyone is doing really well. Welcome to our Mind Your Health show. So I've recently gotten back from a mini vacation from Miami or to Miami, and I have to say that the experience was so different from last year. The hustle and bustle scene in Miami Beach was gone, with roads next to the beach completely closed off. Only the restaurants dining on the outside were open, and there were scant vacationers enjoying the beach, which was great for us. But I kept thinking how different our lives are. And when I got back, because I had a full load of schedule, I had to get myself COVID tested. Didn't have to, I didn't have any symptoms, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. And of course, all is negative, everything is good, but it really saddens me. And I keep thinking back to how things were just last year. We went back to Miami, it's my favorite beach, and comparing it with the past is what I get stuck on lately because the standard of the past is what I hold today's standard with, right? And so I think it really has us psychologically thinking this way that really has us feeling more sad. And I had to really observe my thoughts around this. And I liken this, and I mentioned this because with the diagnosis of lupus 20 years ago, I used to think how my life became so different overnight because of my lupus. It wasn't until I was able to, though, move forward with my new life with lupus and let go of what I knew of the past or the attachment to my past that I was able to drastically alter my health and life to a state better than what was. So, this is a learning lesson that I want to expose to you guys and share with you to kind of shift your perspective in this way. So, I just want to ask you, what if our lives are exactly how it's supposed to be? Good, bad, or different, that it's our brain making it so with its thoughts? Because this is absolutely true. If we stop resisting what is, then all things fall into place and provide you and me with clarity and focus to do exactly what we need to do to achieve the future that we want, whether that's relationships, health, finances, career, whatever it is that we seek to achieve. But too many of us don't think about the future of how we want to live. In fact, statistically, most of our lives are lived through how it happens to us. We live our lives as if it's happening to us, that we're not proactively charging forward. And I think that's true for most of us with autoimmunity, because when autoimmunity strikes us as if it's something that's happening outside of us, when really, if you think about it, it's our own cells wreaking havoc within our system. It's a closed system. And yes, we need experts to figure out exactly why we keep having antibodies. And if it's threatening our lives, then we have to seek the necessary medications and expertise. But if you really think about what happens to us when we do get diagnosed with autoimmunity, we get seen by all the doctors. Mainly, it's our rheumatologist, though, that follows our antibody. And all they can offer us is medications to decrease our immune system, which is really, if you think about it, is counterintuitive, but that's all that's available to us, right? So I want you guys to really think about how about if we shift the perspective when we think about functional medicine, holistic treatments? How about if we shift the perspective to say we need holistic services as a guide so that we ourselves can turn the switch within us so that we can be so connected with our mind body, because this is the faculty, our mind, our brain center controls all the endocrinological, biochemical, physical, all the systems in our body. So, how about if we look at functional medicine differently from an external focus where you're looking for experts to help you versus you are guiding their help, or you're seeking their help to better help you or me to serve our bodies in the best way possible to create homeostasis. Because here's the truth. If you really think about it, it's kind of logical. The only person who has complete control over our lives is us. And yes, I get it. These are meta concepts that I'm introducing, so it may have you spin in confusion for a minute. But if you really hear me, you'll intuitively know what I'm saying, and this is what really makes sense. And you know this to be true. I knew it to be true, but yet I chose to keep spinning in the cycle of overwhelm when I was first diagnosed. So I get it, you guys. I get and I hear you and I feel you. And I think sometimes it's a necessary path to go through and really date all the frogs and try many things before you realize, oh my gosh, I just need some clarity and focus in getting control over my health. And the only person who's responsible is me. Because no matter what you're trying to achieve in life, whether that's your health, wealth, education, relationships, or even weight loss, if your mindset doesn't change, there is no long term changes. This is absolutely true. I talk about beliefs that we hold that isn't questioned. But remember, beliefs are thoughts that you think over and over habitually that makes it true for you. But it isn't necessarily true. You make it so with your thoughts. You absolutely can argue against it, but we don't because we live our life shaped by the subconscious beliefs that we hold and live our lives validating them. So if it's what you believe, you're going to subconsciously do everything, feel, and act to validate the very belief. And that's why it's so powerful for you to really explore what's going on up here. What a concept, right? So, for example, I used to believe lupus was incurable and I will be broken for the rest of my life. I remember thinking this way. I gave up ahead of time and I knew all the things that I had envisioned for myself, like living a single, strong life without a man in my life. I didn't want to get married and I wanted to be single and really go all out in my career. But I held back because I believed I was broken. And I also believe that my life would be substandard because of lupus, because of all the things I couldn't do. My focus was so much about what I couldn't do versus thinking about how I can overcome to make this a better thing for my life. It wasn't available to me because I believed so wholeheartedly that I was broken. So for many years, I lived validating my beliefs by limiting myself in every facet of my life, proving to myself that I'm broken to myself by not showing up to my life or showing up at all in my life. And I lived in this fear and anxiety, producing the exact life that I believed. Not what I wanted, what I believed it to be true. So your perception is everything. Your beliefs are like the lens that you have, it's the glasses, right? It's the filter by which how you live your life. And it really holds true for those of us who live with various conditions like diseases and cancer, lupus, autoimmune diseases, whatever that might be. And I have to tell you, it wasn't until I was able to think differently and shift my mindset that I was able to create the exact life I wanted to create. I started to dream big. I started to really look ahead and I started to like dare greatly. And began to believe that lupus was curable and that I can be healthier and more resilient because of lupus. Right. And I decided that that was what I was going to do. My friends, really, you guys are all my friends here because we all live with the same condition. We're going through the same thing. This is the obstacle that we share. So we're really deeply connected emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. You know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of times where I look as healthy as I can be, but I might be really struck with so much anxiety and fear and so much physical pain that I'm in a bad mood and I become very moody. I see you. This is a hard thing. And I usually joke, autoimmunity is not for sissies because it throws loops and we have to go through many different obstacles, but we do come through it. The question is, Are you going to be stronger for it, or are you going to be a victim to it, right? So you guys know I talk a lot about victim mindset to a hero mindset. It's the transformation, and you choosing to become a hero in your own life is what I'm calling you to be. Okay. So our brains are wired this way, right? Because we get to get really stuck in our minds, and we tend to refuse, reject, or resist the new belief. And even the new belief is a positive one. We intuitively know that that's what we should be doing, but we get stuck and we get locked up in our cages doing the same thing over and over again. We don't know just how to come out of it. And I went through these cycles many, many times to really recognize and know, oh my gosh, when I'm going through this loop, there's really nobody that can help me. And the only person who can push through to get to the other side is myself. And so I usually have to do a lot of thought work and really be my best therapist to pull myself out of it so that I can move forward in my life. Because here's the thing, our brains are wired this way, and for good reason. Our brains like what's easy, pleasurable, but it likes what's familiar. So I talk a lot about we get stuck in the past. We want to create more of the same because our brains are wired for efficiency. And adopting new beliefs takes work, and it's scary, it's uncomfortable. And so our brains resist it inherently so quick that if we're up against ourselves, this is the thing, right? And our brains resist it, but we keep going and we want more for ourselves. We are really not fully aligned to what's possible. And this is the part where it might be a little confusing because it took a while for me to really truly see this. But if you can really hear me and get this concept, I promise you, the rest of your life will be so much better for it. So, what happens is we have this lofty goal, and we all know that we can dare to dream big and we want to achieve big things, especially with our autoimmunity. We start to think that way. But we inherently also know that, my gosh, that path is super hard. And we make it so. And so, because it's hard, we resist, we refuse, and we stay exactly where we are. We're choosing to sabotage ourselves. When we work with our brains in this way, our brains are going to always win. So you really do need to really engage what's called a prefrontal cortex. That's the planning brain, getting out of our primitive brain at the base of our brain, right? And we need to like really think and pull us out of it to be able to envision a better future for ourselves. And this is a meta skill that I absolutely need you to start to develop for yourselves, right? And that's why you need to surround yourself with those that cheer you on and those who seek greatness despite the conditions that we have all around us. Because we live with symptoms every day. We may be going through flares. We may be having relationship issues because of everything that's going on with our autoimmunity. But that's when you have to really up level yourselves to make things better, because that power is all within you. It's within me as well. And understanding that adopting new beliefs takes work, that we all tend to resist it inherently so quick. And understanding from that standpoint to make sure that when we start to doubt ourselves, that we have a group of people that lift us up, who remind us what we're up against to pull us out of it over and over again. That's the type of coaching, up leveling, elevating group is what we're trying to hold each other with. And that's what I want to introduce you to at the end of this podcast episode. It's completely free, but that's where I want you to be, because we're the average of 5 people that we surround ourselves with, right? So this brings me to our topic today about functional medicine. I want to share the pitfalls of holistic medicine, especially functional medicine. So I've been on the path of functional medicine for over a decade as a practitioner and as a patient. It began with me seeking a functional medical doctor, only to be so disappointed by the doc giving me a pill with a bunch of expensive tests and some supplements. No lifestyle interventions, no dietary advice, and to be honest with you, she didn't exactly look like the epitome of health that I was seeking. So I got really disappointed. Did I listen to her at the time? I absolutely did. And then I went to several different ones before I realized, you know what? I'm going to enroll in this myself. I have a doctoral degree, I have my master's in nutrition. I know a lot more than them to advise me on what to do holistically. Because at the end of the day, I realized functional medicine is nothing more than lifestyle medicine. It's what we do day in and day out. But you know what? The biggest hurdle to any functional medical approach is not knowing and understanding that the biggest hurdle is the patient. It's me as a patient and what's between my ears. It's my mindset. And it's what I bring to the table with when I seek a functional medical doctor. And that's why I'm telling you about the pitfalls of functional medicine is that you as a patient don't have clarity around what it is that you're seeking. You're giving all the power away to that functional medical doctor. And guess what? Here's a surprise. They don't know any more than you about your life, about your condition, about your symptoms. They may know a lot more about the dysfunctions of the system and what tests to perform, what could be wrong with you, but it's all hypothetical because you combine your genes, your lifestyle, everything that's going on in your mindset with what you're willing to do, what you're not. It doesn't matter what you say you're willing to do. I'm saying we tend to revert back based on what's programmed up here. It doesn't matter what kind of a motivation you have. And that's the pitfall that I'm talking about. It's not a long term. We need to be completely aligned with our thoughts, our feelings, and the actions we take, and be clear about what result we want to create. But I can tell you, many of my patients say, "Oh, I want to be symptom free. I want to be like myself before." But if you really, really look at that, that's kind of substandard too, because I can tell you, just before I got diagnosed with lupus for years, I felt suboptimal. I thought living with pain after exercising was normal. I thought the fatigue was normal. And I thought all those things were normal. Having digestive issues were normal. And so, no, that's not what I'm going for. I want to have no symptoms. I want to have bursting energy. I have clarity around what I want to do. I want to be able to hike 10 miles, not make it mean anything or be thrashed because I'm so tired after that hike. I want to have the optimal endurance. I want to have functional capacity to mobilize my body and gain the muscle. And I want to look good doing all of those things. And so I have a vision for what I expected and what I expected for me and for my life, both financially, relationship wise, what kind of a mom I want to be, what health really looks like for me is that I can eat just about anything I want to. I don't have to restrict myself just because my functional medical doctor is putting me on a very restrictive diet. I don't want that to be a long term. I want to know that for the time being, I can do that with the ultimate goal of being able to incorporate everything, including eating cake on my birthday, drinking wine with my friends, enjoying a cup of coffee if I so want. All these things are vices that I don't want to give up, right? And so I really want you guys to really think about, why do you seek holistic options? And when you say lip service to those things, you may be completely blind as to what your thoughts and feelings are around that. Because this is what I see a lot in my office is they have so much faith in me to fix them, so much so that there's a disconnect. And I might captivate them for the time that I live with them. But every day when you guys live your lives, every day is a hurdle. You wake up not feeling motivated. You wake up with lack of confidence, lack of faith. Autoimmunity does that to you. And right now, with the state of pandemics the way they are, it's even worse, right? I have to fight with my feelings and really have to self-explore my thoughts around the pandemic, because it really does get me down, because I like to go out to the movies and go out on a vacation, not have to wear a mask. And the moment you tell me to put on masks, it makes me really sad. And so these are things that I am up against, and I have to constantly have to resist my brain, or I have to fight the resistance in my brain to say, hey, prefrontal cortex, what is it that I want to create? And how can I make my life so much better than what it is despite the circumstances of my life? And that's really a meta skill. I'm not expecting you guys to get well with autoimmunity alone. In order for you to overcome autoimmunity, I want you guys to understand approaching functional medicine as a lifestyle means you have to elevate your thinking. I have to help you to elevate your thinking so much so that it improves just about every facet of your life, because this lifestyle intervention, lifestyle medicine, is going to overflow into all areas of your life. And so I need you guys to be congruent in all aspects of your life. And the way I practice functional medicine is to connect the dots between the physical movements, the nutrition, the thoughts that you feel, the supplements that you take. And you have to be very strategic and specific to your needs. Not every single autoimmune patient is the same. And so that attention to detail, right? Coupled with the ability to look at the big picture is exactly what you need. And the problem, the pitfall with functional medicine these days is that the functional medicine is the root cause of disease medicine. That's what every functional medical doctor will tell you, because that's what we're taught. We're taught a certain way. We're taught systems management. We're taught everything else with you as the patient out of the equation. We're taught to really have this therapeutic encounter, to be mindful, to ask you questions about your history, and then test, and then work on the gut. 5R program, remove, replenish, all those things that functional medical doctors talk about. We're taught the same thing. So if you come to me and I'm from Institute of Functional Medicine, go to another functional medical doc, they'll do similar things. They might not start with anything, but we're all taught to start with the gut, right? And if it's a medical doctor especially, they'll put you in touch with maybe even a health coach, right? And then you have to then go to a nutritionist, a physical therapist. It's a very fragmented approach. What I'm trying to tell you is you have to have a collective, cohesive management plan that ties everything together, because you need to be able to move without pain. And that's physical movement, physical therapy, and then leading into yoga or even HIIT training, or even, I don't know if you're up to it, some type of CrossFit, even, right? And so that's the movement piece, because physical body needs to move. Second thing is eating. We eat every day. But you know what? Food is outside of us. It's the choices that we make. What foods do you grab? That's all behavior. And that comes from your thoughts and your feelings. Because when you're sad, we have this thing, right? We want ice cream. We want brownies. We want sweet to buffer the negativity of our feelings. We want to resist and suppress our feelings, so we'll make poor food choices. That's a behavior, much more important and profound than knowing what foods to grab. Because you and I both inherently know vegetables are better than that carrot cake. But when we're sad and angry or depressed, we grab the carrot cake, something to make us feel good in that moment, because we believe vegetables and fruits are bad tasting, much more bad tasting, and good tasting ones. Carrot cake is what we want. And hell, I feel bad, so I want something that's going to make me feel good. And that's my carrot cake, right? That's all beliefs too. That's all your thoughts, feelings, taking that action according to that thing. And so, as a functional medical practitioner and a doctor, if I don't recognize those things and really work with you on your subconscious programming that you walk in with, I'm doing a disservice to you, because your behavior, it has everything to do with that, right? Now, I know that not every functional medical practitioner is this way, but the few that I sought out, as well as those I trained with, tend to miss the big point that ultimately healing is an inside job. My goal in working with my patients is usually to switch you, so that you switch from this victim mindset into an empowered mindset. So give you the whys, right? Really try to understand why you do what you do and see where your state of mental faculties are. And I really put a mirror to you so that I listen and try to understand your issues, so that I can, with intuition and wisdom, pick up on the sabotagingness of your life and your thoughts and your feelings and the looping thoughts. Those are completely blind to you, but it's very much revealing to me. And that's the first part: psychology of eating, psychology of exercise, psychology of health is number one. And then the tactical things are the diets and supplements and those things, right? Because at the end of the day, you can pick up a book on Amazon to read about what lesson plans or what recipe plans you can figure out for the week. You know why you don't do it is because knowledge is not enough. We have to apply the knowledge, right? We have to apply that knowledge and provide you with something to follow. And it takes you to take a small step every single day, whether you feel like it or not, because it's the consistency by which you work towards something is what's going to give you the most leverage. And that's completely missed. And as practitioners, I'm a registered dietitian, I'm a physical therapist, I'm a functional medical doctor, I'm a yoga therapist, yoga teacher. I do all these things. I can tell my students, my patients, and clients until I'm blue in the face. But you know what doesn't happen? If I don't trigger something to happen within them to switch to so that they can apply it themselves, some people are better than others, then nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen long term. I'm only interested in you, my friends, my dear friends, because that was me. I was the most stubborn person, but it was completely blind to how I operated. And so until I learned the self sabotagingness or habits that I held within and really be, open to learning about them, I couldn't go forward, right? And so I want to provide you with a long term strategy, strategic intervention that's going to empower you and equip you for life, for ultimate transformation. And that enables you to live the solution every single day. Okay. So I want to also recognize the fact that as practitioners, we need to get busy showing you the way, not telling you the way, right? I need to be the epitome of what you're seeking to achieve. So if I'm eating out all the time because I'm not sick, but I'm telling you to do all these things, I have no idea. I always talk about climbing Mount Everest because living with autoimmunity is like you have to climb this Mount Everest. It's a treacherous path, and you can die doing it because there's a lot of obstacles. And the doctors are basically at the base camp looking up at you hanging off the cliff, and then they're trying to like either give you a net down below or tell you, okay, maybe you want to grab to the left, maybe you want to do this, you know what I mean? They don't know how to get there. Here you are like grabbing hold of for life to try to stay on. So I always talk about this is not an easy path, but you need resiliency. You need mental resilience. You need radical, transformative resilience that's going to push you forward to the other side, stronger and better than before. And I want you to really sit with the very premise, okay, of you seeking a functional medical or any holistic doc, right? The very premise. Why is that? It's ultimately to likely figure out a holistic way of living, right? What if I told you that they don't know any more about why our health went south other than their knowledge on pathology of our body and what metabolic pathways are potentially affected by the systems approach that we learn so heavily in our programming or in our education? What I mean is that too often they miss the big picture and get lost in the investigating the digestive, neurological, endocrine, metabolic, immunological, or even cardiometabolic system. What's more important is to tie everything together and understand that our central nervous system, that's your thoughts, right? That's your brain, linked with your central nervous system, that's your central nervous system, your spine, and then peripheral nervous system, how this central nervous system needs to be set in a way that's primed for health. That's the number one. But what runs these systems is that, right? It's your brain, it's you first and foremost, which creates thoughts, which then triggers feelings, which then drives actions to create the results in your life. And many functional medical docs are going deep into the rabbit hole to assess exactly what's wrong with you, the getting to the root cause approach and getting lost in the systems. And they fail to put everything together and then put that together with you, the patient sitting in front of them, to really analyze intuitively with wisdom, not just with intellect and knowledge, to really create this comprehensive program that's going to pull you out of your own head and make you understand the why of everything, and really put a mirror to you to say, hey, this is a logistic plan that I want you to follow. Here's why you should do it, and coach you through the hardships of that program. They fail to consider you and why you think, feel, and do what you do already, because these programs are not easy. And you may follow it because it's expensive sometimes to see a functional medical doctor for a short term. I've met so many patients that fell to the wayside because of lack of accountability and coaching and the big picture thinking to understand that health is a journey. You're going to be met with a lot. And we need to make sure that there's a switch from the inside so that the patient, when they are left alone, like, because we're working towards that independence, right? Empowerment, healing, and creating healthcare within is the ultimate goal, or should be the ultimate goal. They are so busy prescribing a diet, telling you to supplement, or even provide you with the hormones if you need. But unless they coach you to understand the underlying mindset of you and to make the changes there, your actions will only be a function of what the doctor tells you to do for that moment, right? For a short time that you're with them under their care. That ultimately may make you feel better temporarily, but long term, you'll revert back to your patterns or habits just as soon as you're released from their care, or when life circumstances derail you, like you have a fight with your spouse, or something happened at work, or something, right? Because life is full of suffering. The point of functional medicine is to help you to understand yourself, so much so that you have self healing tools to coach yourself through the derailment over and over again, and you have confidence to do so. Help you to be empowered by clarifying what, why, and how you do what you do now. Then help you to make the shifts necessary to align your actions with your thoughts and actions so that you make necessary changes that ultimately transforms. A wise doc will have you take small steps every single day. I called this the Japanese approach called Kaizen approach, right? It's a million miles takes with that one step at a time is what you take. So taking this overwhelming approach into bite-sized pieces and guiding you through, always remembering and coaching and cheering you along the way so that you understand exactly why it is you're going in this way. Functional medicine, you guys, is really lifestyle medicine. This means that we have a moral obligation, us as practitioners, to help you to do all things that you need to do every single day, which requires you to make better food choices, which is the diet, move daily, which is the exercise component, and then also manage your stress, which is individual plan, because some of you can meditate, some of you can't. But we have to see what the triggering events are to cause you stress, and provide you with a solid plan to make sure that you do so with the long-term goal of creating transformative changes that heals you inside and out and leaves you empowered, like I said. It's the self healing journey that we take you through to know what diet, movement, stress management, which includes those life circumstances that tend to make us stressed, like relationships, finances, and health, and planning for them, right? It's all of it. And we must be the coach, the mentor, and a guide who takes you through this process, knowing that change is super hard, but that it is a necessity. Providing you with the yin, which is the physiology, the detailed physiology and pathology, to the yang, which is the big picture, your lifestyle. To do any less for you is to disservice you, or do a disservice to you. If you've got someone you're working with who is this way, that's awesome. But the pitfall to functional medicine ultimately is that too many practitioners are being good at what they do, what their profession is, right? I need them to really start to fall in love with their patients, so much so that really the impact that they make in the lives of their patients is should be a priority. But they are often too busy focusing on the topics of functional medicine. There's a lot to learn, you guys, on the details of nutrition, physical therapy, acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda. All these approaches take a focus away from you to the ultimate tactics. And that's really the pitfall that I want to talk to you about. The tactics will only work if you're on board mentally. And you may not respond to certain tactics. So you might need a different set of tactics, and you might need different tactics at different phases of your disease and life. So you need a strategic intervention that is comprehensive, working on psychology, which is your mindset, movement for metabolism, which can be physical therapy or even yoga, nutrition for anti-inflammatory effect, and deep assessment of your habits, not only what you do, but why you do what you do, so that we can create a plan to get you back on track when you get derailed due to life circumstances. To me, that's much more important. So, more than the tactics that most practitioners focus on specializing in the systematic approach, you'll need the big picture approach combined together. And that is connecting all systems together and making connections with you, with your behavior and psychology, so that you're set up for success. Once you get truly aligned with your thoughts, feelings, and actions, the results of your life will drastically improve. But first, you must define what health looks like for you. Health should extend beyond our physical to the health of our relationship with ourselves, with our spouse, kids, friends, etc. It's the whole ecosystem of your life, not just about the nitty-gritty of what you eat, taking supplements, exercise, etc. Such things are the tactics we deploy, but not the ultimate solution. We aim to enjoy life by having you feeling good. We begin with you first and foremost so that we can change the way you see the world and your health. As you start to get clarity on who you are and why you do what you do, you can then begin to move forward towards what you want to create in your life and health. Your autoimmunity will improve without you even trying, and you will find joy and happiness along the way. This I can promise you. If this is something that intrigues you and you want a different plan, a different way to go about creating health for you, and you want to know more, you have options. I want to help you to transform your life and health in ways you never envisioned, right? Transform, not change momentarily, give you a protocol, but transform you so that you can be empowered to live your life every single day. It's like, I don't want to give you a fish, I want to teach you how to fish. You can join our free group called the Autoimmune Health Rebels, where I share all the tips and strategies to live the solution every single day. But you may be those who's been around the block, dated all the frogs. You may be super frustrated and are ready to go forward. And you're serious about taking the next step. And if that's you, to drastically transform your life and health, I'd love to work with you. So click on the link below to request a free consult to see if our functional medicine coaching group, the Autoimmune Health Transformation, is the right program for you. Either way, guys, I'm in this with you. No matter what, I'm going to continue to serve you in our free group, as well as we do work with select handful of people to make sure that you guys are coached through. It's a 6-month program right now, and we are making improvements daily. So those two options are available for you, but I highly recommend you join our free group if you're not ready. But if you're ready to see what's in it for you and make drastic changes going forward starting now, then request a free consult with my team, and then we can get you started right away. So sign up, and I'll see you guys all in our free Facebook group called the Autoimmune Health Rebels, and I'll see you guys all soon. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon.